my Central Florida family, we love to travel, and the New England coastline is one trip we've never taken. So we decided that we were going to set out by car and drive up to Bar Harbor, Maine, where our trip would start. Now, it took us 2 full days, about 12 hours each day, to get up to Augusta, Maine, and then we drove the remaining 2 hours into Bar Harbor, Maine on the 3rd day. At that point, our trip officially began. We wanted to start with seeing Acadia National Park, and because our travels were so late in the year, we actually arrived on the last weekend that they were open for the season, and we left on the last day before they closed down. So there were a lot of things that weren't open on this trip, but there were a lot of things that were, and because our main focus was history and nature, we were able to do a field trip for my son, who could actually see history and science in the making while we took this trip. So let's get started. I'm going to tell you a little bit about each stop after we enjoyed everything that each stop had to make. We had 9 hotel visits and drove over 3,500 miles, but this is our family video review. Come along with us. Welcome to Bar Harbor, Maine. We stopped here as our first stop on our trip down the northeast coast. It took about 26 hours of actual drive time. Now that was the day before Thanksgiving as well, so we ran into quite a bit of traffic in Connecticut, probably an extra 2 hours. Typically it should take about 24 hours to get up here, but we drove the whole way. It took us 2 days plus another day of 2 hours from Augusta. We stayed one night in DC, we spent one night in Augusta, and then we drove up and had almost 3 full days here in Bar Harbor. We stayed at the Bar Harbor Inn and Spa, and I highly recommend it. We're closing it down. Today is actually the last day of the season for them, so everybody has to get out and go home. But we got some snowfall yesterday, as you can see on the ground. We made our way into Acadia National Park, which was amazing. Cadillac Mountain was definitely a high point, no pun intended, with some spectacular views. When you come this late in the season, you need to make sure that you plan accordingly, because the last 2 days we were here, they actually shut down Cadillac Mountain because of slippery roads, so we were lucky to make it up there, as well as Jordan Pond. But then we also stopped at Thunder Hole, Sand Beach, Schooner Point, or Overlook, and it was beautiful. Just a really great time. My son had a fantastic time climbing the rocks and being adventurous, going out on some of the trails. So again, highly recommend Acadia National Park, the Bar Harbor Inn and Spa, for families that are looking for more of a nature type of trip. Be sure when you come to Acadia National Park to stop in at the Visitor Center so that you can pick up information about everything that there is to see and do here. Here at the Visitor Center, they can help you find everything that you're looking to do with your family. For now, we're going to get on the road and head down to Portland and see what that has to offer families. This is not Central Florida. It is cold, but then we are here in late November as well. So again, this is Acadia National Park, Bar Harbor Inn and Spa, Bar Harbor, Maine. Beautiful coastlines, lots of nature fun for families. So we're gonna go hit the road and we'll see you in Portland. Welcome to Portland. Actually, this is Cape Elizabeth, Fort Williams Park, beautiful walk-around park. But when you come to a point, you can get here to the lighthouse. It's just an absolutely gorgeous view. This is really great for families because you can walk around the park and see, like I said, some beautiful views. Because we're here at the end of November, one of the ponds is frozen over, so of course that was family fun for a little while. But this is, again, Cape Elizabeth, and if you ever come to Portland with the kids, I would not miss Cape Elizabeth. It is more of a residential town, but there are some lighthouses, and again, the state park is there, Two Lights State Park, as well as this is Fort Williams Park. We're gonna see what else we can see, but for now, this is doing it for us. Portland's one of those towns I would say you could probably get away with spending a day. I wouldn't spend much more than that, and it's not really all that great for families. We had a wonderful time at Cape Elizabeth with some of the shoreline, and the lighthouse was absolutely amazing. That was the Portland Headlight. That was just gorgeous. That whole area, Fort Williams Park, was really beautiful, and we spent a lot of time there. Then we did some Old Port shopping and dining. We did some pub hopping, if you will. My son wanted to stay back at the hotel, so we went to some of the pubs and had some drinks and some appetizers, which was nice for just a parent's day out. We did some shopping on Commercial Street and in Old Port. So here we are this morning at Victoria Mansion. This is one of the sites here in Portland. It is an ancient 19th century home that has been preserved over time. It's a national historical landmark, in fact. And we're going to come check this out this morning. This is the last thing that we have to do on our trip to Portland. But outside of that, there's really not a ton for families to do. Victoria Mansion here is meant mostly for adults, but our son's going with us. So Cape Elizabeth was really the highlight as far as families go. Outside of that, like I said, Portland is a good stopping point for a day. We ended up spending 2 nights to get a full day here, but we're going to continue on to Portsmouth, New Hampshire. There we're probably going to do some more fooding, shopping, and maybe some scenery sightseeing. So we'll see what it has in store for us. But for now, we're going to go into Victoria Mansion before we make our way to Portsmouth. So yesterday we left Portland and drove down to Portsmouth, I'm not quite sure how they say it, in New Hampshire. It was a stop that we made on the way up for dinner, and it was a cute little town with lots of shops and restaurants. So we decided to make a pit stop on the way back to enjoy the town. We spent 1 night there, and it only took us probably about 4 or 5 hours maybe to get through the town. When we left in the morning, this morning, we also just did a quick drive around town to go over and look at the port area, the downtown water. But I have to say, as far as a food standpoint, that was the best stop we've made so far. We had tried 3 different restaurants, both on the way up and on our 1 night layover, and every single restaurant had amazing food. It was wonderful. So if you're ever in the area for Portsmouth with the kids, amazing food. Shops are there. Again, not too much for the kids to do other than the shops and dining. But again, as an adult, it would be a great weekend getaway, if you will, to fly up there and just do some relaxation, enjoy some of the food that's up there. We left Portsmouth and headed down to Newburyport, which is also in New Hampshire. Again, we spent maybe a couple of hours in town. It was shops and some dining, a trail along the waterfront there. Again, not a whole lot for kids to do. And again, we're not in season right now. It's now December 1st, so that may have something to do with it. But so we just spent a couple hours there and continued on. We went to Salem after that in Massachusetts, which is all about the Salem witch trials. A lot of witchcraft and some Harry Potter stuff, Ouija boards, things like that are what you're going to find in Salem. We spent the afternoon, had lunch, and again headed out. They do have some museums, some cemeteries, things like that you can do there, maybe more for the older kids than any of the younger kids in Salem. From there, we drove through Boston. We'd been to Boston a few years back, so we didn't stay there or do anything. We sort of drove through. And tonight we've ended up in Plymouth, Massachusetts. And we came here really for just one reason, and that was a history lesson for my son to come right here and show him Plymouth Rock. So let me show you what Plymouth Rock looks like. I'm not sure that there's a whole lot more to do here other than there's a Mayflower replica where you can go in and see what it looked like to be on the Mayflower in 1620. But outside of that, there's some museums, some history, there's a wharf, of course, restaurants and shopping here. But we've only been here for about an hour, but it's a cute little town. It's a nice area. And, you know, again, great for a drive-through moment. Tomorrow we're off to Cape Cod, Massachusetts, so we'll be sharing a little bit more about what happens in Cape Cod when we get there. But for now, let me show you the rock. And that's it. that's Plymouth Rock. Right now we're at the Monument of the Forefathers. It's something we decided to look at before we left town this morning. And I have to say, it's just shorter than the Statue of Liberty. So it is, might be hard to tell from the video, but it's quite immense in height. But it's got some great information around it. It's got a list of all of the pilgrims that came over on the Mayflower. The Mayflower 2 is actually in the bay during the late spring, summer months for you to go in. It's a museum so the kids can see exactly what it was like to be on the Mayflower. But this monument lists those that were on the Mayflower, and it talks about some of our founding principles at the start of America. So Plymouth is not a bad place. Again, I don't know if you could spend more than a couple days here with the amount of things to do, but definitely a great in-person history lesson for the kids. They may not enjoy it, but it's definitely enriching to feel like you're giving them a little piece of history. So again, this is the Monument of the Forefathers. It's free to get into. It's open all day and night, and it's just an absolutely beautiful monument. Hello from the state capital of Rhode Island. We are in Providence now. Yesterday we ended our day in Cape Cod. We took a trip down to Falmouth. There was some amazing little downtown area with some shops, some really good food. We took a scenic drive down the shoreline of Cape Cod. We were gonna go to the tip, which is Provincetown. I equate it to seeming like a Key West area, but we decided not to do that because it's about an hour-and-a-half drive. And we thought that if it got there, a lot of things were closed on this trip because we are traveling out of season. We didn't want to get all the way up there and find out things were closed. So we decided to do the heel of the boot instead of the tip. So we stayed in the Falmouth area and really just kind of traveled around the heel there, looked at the amazing homes. We could see Martha's Vineyard. We went to the sea and dug in the sand, picked up rocks and shells. Of course, because we're traveling out of season, there's hardly anyone there. So it's a trade-off. You know, there are things that are closed, like shops, museums, some restaurants along the way on this trip. But at the same time, there are very few people. So if you sit here and you look, we're at the capital of Rhode Island right now, the Capitol building, and there's no one here. So it's a little bit of a trade-off. It depends on what you're looking for. We're quite enjoying the lack of people and the cold weather because we're from Florida, so we enjoy it being cold. So Cape Cod was very quiet, but it was just kind of the way we liked it. So we left Cape Cod and went to Newport, Rhode Island, where we spent the night, and we've driven up. It's about a 45-minute drive up here to Providence. So we drove up this morning. We went to Roger Williams Park, which is a very beautiful park. Again, because it's off-season, the carousel was closed, the village was closed, the Japanese gardens and the botanical gardens aren't in full bloom, and that's okay. We still loved walking around the park, getting some pictures, and seeing all of the beauty, even in the wintertime. So we just took a drive down to downtown. We're going to explore down here. We're starting at the Capitol building. We're going to go to the waterfront park and then explore what else the city has to offer. If your kids play Pokemon, I can tell you that my son's already between Falmouth and Plymouth and now Providence. He's enjoying playing Pokemon. So we're going to walk around and see what there is to see. So far, Providence is very clean downtown, very beautiful so far. We're gonna see what we can discover while we're here. Tonight we'll go back to Newport, and tomorrow we'll explore the town of Newport, which we're very excited about. So come along and let us show you a little bit about Rhode Island. Welcome to Waterfront Park in Providence, Rhode Island. In season, they'll do boat rides and even gondola rides, like what you find in Venice. They'll do those up and down the river through the city of Providence. I'm kind of sad that we're missing that because that's something I would have actually liked to do with the family, but it's really beautiful nonetheless. Good morning, we're here this morning at Fort Adams State Park. We're gonna go in and check out this really cool state park. It's free for visitors here in the Newport area. And we're gonna go check it out and see what it's all about. To me, online, it looks a little bit like St. Augustine and the Castillo de San Marcos, but we'll see. I'm super excited to check this out with the kids today and see how much fun they have running around Fort Adams. So let's go check it out. We just finished over at Fort Adams State Park. It was pretty cool. Even the 11-year-old said he was super glad he went in, that he thought it was pretty interesting. So we just finished over at Fort Adams in a self-guided tour that we did there. And now we're at the Breakers. They have a bunch of mansions here in Newport, and as you can see behind me, it's huge. This is the Breakers. It's the biggest and the best, apparently. So it's costing the three of us about $60 to go inside to see it. We're hoping it's worth every penny. There are other mansions as well. The Elm, I think, is one of them. There's a handful of them that you can go and see, but we're gonna go tour this one and see what it's all about. We can't wait to find out more. After Fort Adams and the Breakers, we spent time in Newport eating out, shopping, going on a scenic drive, walking along the beach. It was a bit crowded, and to be honest, we were excited to get to New York City. Driving in New York! Manhattan! Ready? In New York! Well, we've made it to New York City. We're here in Central Park. Last night we spent the night just outside of the city, about 45 minutes, in a place called Tuckahoe, which is just north of the city. Like I said, it took us about 45 minutes to get in. We are here on a Sunday, and I have to say it was perfect. The drive-in was easy peasy pie. We went all the way down to the south end to Battery Park to see the Statue of Liberty. We walked to Wall Street, looked around there, went to Trinity Church, saw where Alexander Hamilton was was buried, had a discussion about the history of that. And then we walked down, saw the bull, and that's there at Wall Street. Got in our car, drove up to the 9/11 Memorial, did a little history lesson with the 9/11 Memorial and One World Conservatory. Really was able to do a teachable lesson being right there. I didn't get any pictures, I forgot, I was so busy talking about it. But we did that, and then we came up to Times Square and we parked the car. We actually parked it at the Marriott Marquis there. And we walked to Central Park, which is about 16 blocks. In Times Square, we had some churros, just walked by all the stores, took a lot of pictures, and now we're in Central Park, which is gorgeous. It's beautiful out. It is December, so it's about 45 degrees. But it's beautiful weather out today, hardly a cloud in the sky. And we're gonna walk around Central Park for a little while. They're busy pokey hunting, so they're having a great time, as you can see behind me there. They're pokey hunting, and we're catching the sights of Central Park. This is actually for my husband and son, it's about their second time here. My husband's, I think it's his third time here. So we've done this once before, but it's been a number of years, so he doesn't remember it. But Central Park, of course, is great with the kids. I believe they're still ice skating here. We're getting ready to head over to the pond. There's a big playground. Great opportunities for them to sit and enjoy the park in this beautiful day. Then we're gonna head down Fifth Avenue. We're gonna look at some of the shops down Fifth Avenue. We're gonna go to the NBA store. We're gonna stop at Rockefeller Center, hopefully do some ice skating. If not, we'll at least see the Christmas tree. So far so good, it's beautiful out. Other than this video, I've had my mask on the whole time that we've been here, and we're doing pretty much all outdoor activities. But I've heard at least 20 times today that this is the best trip he's ever taken, and he absolutely loves being here in the city. So of course New York City is great for kids and great for families. Just, you know, choosing to do it safely. We're doing most of our activities are gonna be outdoor activities. We're gonna eat off of food carts today and have a really great time in the city. So from New York, let's see what else we can go enjoy with our Central Florida family. So you can see on the next stop on our tour, we've made it to Washington, D.C. Yesterday we finished up New York with some shopping down Fifth Avenue, some time in Central Park. We love the rock formation that's there by the pond. Some of the prettiest photos in all of Central Park, in my opinion. And then we hit up the NBA store. We went over to 30 Rock and saw the Rockefeller Christmas tree. And then we headed back to Times Square, looked around a little bit more, and then picked up the car and head down to DC. It was about a 3.5-hour drive, 4 with stops, but not a bad drive. We did it on a Sunday evening, so the traffic wasn't bad. And here we are this morning waking up. One of our first stops is the Lincoln Memorial. Absolutely one of my favorites. We love walking around the back of the memorial and looking over towards Arlington. And when you look out the front, you can see the National Mall with the Washington Monument, and then in the distance is the Capitol Building. One of my favorite views in all of Washington, D.C. So we're gonna go check out some of the sights, and we're happy to share with you our day in Washington, D.C. No trip to DC is complete without a trip to the U.S. Capitol. We came out this evening to the White House. We've been both to the Ellipse side and the Pennsylvania Avenue side. Of course, when the kids are little, they're not as enthused about it as we are seeing it, but doesn't mean we can't come out and take a look. So again, it's Christmas time here in Washington, D.C., so we came over to see the National Tree, and you can see the Washington Monument behind me. Of course, we had to bring the kids to see all of this in Washington, D.C. We went to the Capitol, we went to the Lincoln Memorial, we saw all the Vietnam, Korean, World War II memorials, we went over to see the MLK Jr. Memorial, and we, again, only spent a day in D.C., so we really just hit the highlights, but it was an interesting day of trying to have fun but also educate the kids while we were here. So DC in a day, again, we hit the White House, the Capitol, Washington Monument, Lincoln Memorial, the different war memorials that are here. We did a little driving trip around the city, pointed out a few things like the Smithsonian's, the National Cathedral, things like that. But again, with just a day, there's only so much you can hit. So we are off and ready to head home tomorrow after a crazy, what's been, I think, 12-day trip down the coast of New England. It's definitely been a lot of fun. We've made a lot of memories doing it. It's not for everyone. The drive up took us about 26 hours in the car. Tomorrow we're gonna drive about 12, 13 hours with stops, adding to the time to get home. Of course, we might stay overnight somewhere halfway. We may go all the way through, we'll see. But we've seen everything from the coastlines to colonial towns to, of course, New York City, which was amazing, Cape Cod, little port towns like Newport and Newburyport and Portsmouth, and it just, the whole thing from beginning to end has been absolutely amazing. We've made a lot of really wonderful family memories that are going to last for some time, and I don't know if we'll ever do it again, but it was definitely worth doing. We'll definitely stop into some of these spots again and spend more time digging a little deeper, but for now, just getting to see so much of the New England coast, that was the goal. That's what we did, and we had a great time doing it. So as always, no matter what you're doing with your Central Florida family, no matter what trips you guys are taking this year, we hope you're having an amazing time doing it and that you're making some wonderful family memories as well. We'll catch you next time.